All right, we are back for the fifth movie on the 100 Essential Films pop chart movie poster. I think this is by far my favorite one that I've done so far. This is the 1934 Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert, It Happened One Night. It was based on a 1933 short story called The Night Bus by Samuel Hopkins Adams. So if the story came out in 1933, they worked fast to get this out by the release date of February 22nd on 1934. And it is the first of only 3 films as of today to receive all 5 major Academy Awards for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Adapted Screenplay. There are a lot of great moments, great lines, great situations in this movie that I was on board with almost from the very beginning. There is one more descriptive characteristic about this movie that I'm thinking I might want to go into more about in general. This is regarded as a pre-code American romantic comedy. The pre-code meaning it was created before the MPPDA began enforcing the 1930 Motion Picture Production Code. So I don't know, Hal, if it was the 1930 code, why they were still doing it in 1934, but it had to do, from the quick glance that I've done, had to do with censoring itself, or a movie or director censoring itself rather than having somebody else do it. So I want to look into more of that because I didn't know that that was a thing, and I'll do a separate video on that stuff for you guys at a later point if you guys are interested or if anybody else cares. Now we're going to jump right into the plot crunch of this movie. It starts on a boat down in Florida, where we are introduced to Ellie Andrews, and we find out the current predicament that she is in. She has just eloped with King Wesley against her father's wishes, because her dad believes that King Wesley is only into the marriage for Ellie's money. Ellie comes from a very wealthy family, as far as I can tell, including just her and her father. After a little bit of an argument back and forth between Ellie and her dad, Ellie jumps ship and leaves just off and into the water with the goal of hopping on a bus and going to New York City to meet up with her now husband, you know, as rational people do. On the bus is where she meets Peter, who is a super smooth, cool kind of guy Ellie immediately dislikes. We find out that Peter is a reporter who just lost his job and is trying to figure out what to do with his life next. While they are on the bus, Peter sees a news article offering a reward for any information on Ellie Andrews because she has vanished. Peter offers her a deal, and the deal is that Peter will help her get back to New York City to meet up with her husband if he gets an exclusive interview for himself. He's trying to get his job back. But if she doesn't want to take him up on that offer, he can always call Dad and get the money for the reward. So Ellie kind of takes the deal because she doesn't want to get caught just yet. Now, the meat and the potatoes of this movie are the adventures and mishaps from Florida to New York. These adventures consist of a broken down bus, running from the police, an overnight stay in a hotel between 2 people that do not want to be rooming with each other. But more importantly to me, I saw what I think, and if anybody knows this to be incorrect or if anybody can cite the origins of this, I'm sure we are all familiar with the trope of a hitchhiking girl rolling up her skirt and showing a little leg to catch the eye of a passerby. That happens in this movie. And as far as I know, 1934 is the earliest showing I've seen of this. So not knowing anything about the origins or the history of this thing I've seen 1,000 times in my lifetime, seeing it pop up on screen from almost 100 years ago was really interesting for me to see. So like I said, if anybody knows of that trope being introduced before 1934, please let me know. But that is a trick that Ellie uses while they are trying to pick up a ride to get to their final destination. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the details of all of the misadventures and everything that happens. That's where the enjoyment of watching the movie comes in. But I'm sure everybody can kind of guess that Ellie starts to fall for our Peter. She starts to see all of the good things in him that are written in the script, and she finally confesses her love to him. Now, in my everyday life, I talk about how important communication and honesty is, and here is another example. If Peter had just said what was on his mind, these two do not hit the bumpy road they are about to hit from here. Because, of course, Peter feels the same way about Ellie that she does towards him. She asks if they can run away together and just live happily ever after, and he doesn't answer. He just remains quiet. Ellie cries herself to sleep, and to get into motion the plan that Peter has in his mind, he leaves. So, in a few hours, when Ellie wakes up and Peter is not there, the story is not the same to her as it is to us. So she agrees to meet back up with her father and go back to her husband. Now, we've talked about how Ellie and the king have eloped. For a publicity stunt, or to make it more official, they have agreed to hold a big fancy wedding in the backyard of Ellie and her father's estate. On the morning of this wedding, the morning of this ceremony, Ellie confesses to her father what happened on the trip, her feelings towards Peter, how she doesn't think that he cares and that's why he left, and the whole 9 yards. So she reluctantly is going through a wedding knowing that she loves somebody else. Her father manages to get in touch with Peter for a meeting under the guise that he has the reward money for him, which I think was like $10,000. Peter shows up with a list of essentially receipts and goes through every penny, nickel, dime, and dollar that was spent getting Ellie from Florida to New York, and demands $39.60 to cover gas, tolls, food, some articles of clothing that needed to be replaced. But he's acting very strange about this, especially when Ellie's father tries to give him the $10,000, but Peter is very adamant that he doesn't want it. He just wants his $39.60. Well, dear old dad presses the issue further to find out why a man who could be collecting a very large sum of money is very agitated over $39. And Peter confesses to Dad that he is in love with Ellie. So, spoiler alert, if you don't want to know if they get together or not, jump ahead to the end of this video where I post the Patreon subscribers and give my greatest thanks and just tell them how much it means to me that they have my back through all of this. If you want to know what happens, I'm going to tell the story in 3, 2, 1, bye. So dear old dad meets up with Ellie to try to tell her that he just met with Peter, and Ellie doesn't want to hear anything. She wants nothing to do with it. Dad presses the issue even up until they're walking down the aisle. He is getting ready to give his daughter away to her husband? I'm not sure how this all works, actually, legality-wise. And he says to Ellie, I talked to Peter, he loves you, he didn't take the money. If you decide to go through with the marriage to the king, I support you. If you decide to not marry the king and want to follow love, I have a car waiting for you out front. Just go. They get to the altar. The priest says to the king, "Do you take this woman?" He says, "I do." He says, "Ellie, do you take this king?" And she books it out of there. So of course they get together because happy endings galore. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but you should definitely check it out because there is a reoccurring theme through the movie that finally pays off at the end here, and I really enjoy it. Like I said, I'm pretty sure this is, I know for a fact this is my favorite of the 5 movies we've seen so far, which, by the way, I can't believe how fast this is going by. With that being said, my favorite part, we get to scratch off the movie part. All right, so hitting the 5th movie. I can't believe we've been doing this for 5 weeks already. Time is flying by. It happened last night from 1934. Let's see what is underneath this scratch off. Oh, it's the Walls of Jericho. That's hilarious. All right, and that is a reference you are only going to get if you watch the movie, because I did not talk about that in the review. Oh, I really hope you guys go and check this out, and you will understand why that is funny. There you have it. It happened one night. Okay, so now we are looking at our next movie being the 1937 Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which I believe is the first color film and first cartoon of our 100 essential films. So I'm very interested to see the switch. Also, 1937. I can't believe how old Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is. I'm very curious to go back. It's been a very, very, very long time since I've watched that movie, and I'm excited. If you are a Disney fan as well, let me know when the last time you watched Snow White was, and follow along next week. I hope you guys take the time to go watch It Happened One Night from 1934. It is definitely a fantastic movie. I want to thank my Patreon subscribers, whose names are going to pop up in just a second. It means so much that you guys are following me. I have some big things happening in 2021, and Patreon subscribers are going to get all the information first, and I'm doing a couple of exclusives just for them, so keep an eye out for that. I'll add a link below. Thank you guys for watching this. It means a lot. Tell your movie-loving friends. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification buttons on the bottom, and I will catch you next Tuesday. Later days.